Hey guys, so now we're talking about expected value. And so that's commonly referred to here as EV. So what does that mean? To make this idea come to light, we'll just consider a story. And that you were driving around in your hot, boxy car from the 70s, and you're going along, and then all of a sudden, this terrible other driver, um, in their car just decided to. Sorry, I'm having a. There we go. Um, Decided to rear end you, and it was totally their fault. So completely their fault. But as a result, you sustained a bit of injury. Let's say not just a bit, but a lot of injury. So this is now you. You're not a happy camper, and a friend comes up to you and says, "Hey, you really should be suing the insurance company, well, the other person, because they were completely at fault, and you were having difficulty now walking." And so you have to figure out, well, um, okay, I could do that, but I don't really, I'm not into the psychological process of going to court. So it's clear that one of your values, one important value for you, is a psychological effect of going to court. Um, and so when you're weeding through your decision process, you've talked to your lawyer that your insurance company represents you, and the lawyer tells you, well, let's just call you Jane. So this is Jane right here. You can do one of two things, Jane. You can settle here. Oops, settle. You can settle, or we can sue. And if we settle, it's guaranteed that we can settle for $9,000. And so I say, okay, well, $9,000, that's sounding a little bit better. Or we can sue, and the, we can possibly win a whole bunch more money doing that, or we can obtain that much more money doing that. And you're asking your lawyer, well, what are the odds that we can actually win some money? Because we know that loss is part of that equation as well, right? So your lawyer says, well, I don't really think in terms of my chances of winning or losing. I'm just a lawyer. I'm a good lawyer. And so you have to get out some more information, Jane, from this lawyer. And so a good way that you can do that is just to say, well, um, so would you say there's like a 30% chance you can win? And in response, your lawyer will probably say something more like, no, 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 no. I'm a much better lawyer than that. All smug and lawyer like. But it had to start with you saying something to your lawyer. This is it, your lawyer. It's a terrible top hat. And the lawyer says, nah, much better. So your lawyer's saying, meh, okay, that's much better. So would you say what? There's like a 70% chance that you're going to win? I said, nah, probably a little bit better than that. So now you know, just as a result of your probing here, that there's probably an 80% chance you can win. You win. So let's just model this out a little bit. And this is what we're doing with the expected value. So anytime we have a decision to make and we're modeling uncertainty, this is turning into a decision tree. Any time you're making a decision, we use a square. This was what happens in the book as well. At the square point, you have your actual choice that you are in control of making. So at this point, you have settling up here. You can settle, And if you go that route, you know that you're going to be getting $9,000. That's after all the court fees, all this stuff. You can settle easy, and that's what you'll get, right? You can also sue. And if you choose to go that route, we know right now that there is a 20% chance that you're going to lose, because we just figured out that there's an 80% chance you're going to win. So we have to break those probabilities up a little bit better. And if you lose, you're going to be out $15,000, because that's how much it costs to go to court nowadays. That might be totally false, but for this example, we're just going to say it's going to cost you $15,000 to sue. So 20% chance of that happening, and that you will be out $15,000. Now, there's also, let's say, a 20% chance that you win a small amount, like $10,000. There's a 20% chance that you win a larger amount. That's a 10 right there. A larger amount, like $25,000. That's our 20% right there. And also a 20% chance that you win $60,000. Our 20% probability right there. And our last percent probability, and let's just say this is $140,000. So over here, our probabilities are adding up to 100%. So if we sue, this is capturing the entire range of possible options. So we have this 20% chance of loss right here. If we sue, we have this 20% chance where we'll hit $10,000, 20% chance 25, 20% chance 60, 20% chance 140,000. So what do we do with this information? And how do we know what to do? So let's take a closer look at this, all right? And for just to make things a little bit more interesting, so our intuition isn't completely dominating the day, I'm going to make it a little bit more interesting. Let's just say that the other lawyer came back to you, and who's representing their client, and they said, you know what, we're going to settle, we'll offer you $29,000. We'll juice it up a little bit for you. And so now in response, you have to figure out, well, okay, I have potentially $29,000 right now if I just settle. And now I've got all these probabilities out here, and I don't really know what to do with them. So let's figure it out. What do you do with it? Your intuition might tell you, well, I need to do some quick math. And yeah, that's all we're going to do. We'll take 20% times our negative 15,000, and that will let us know what is the expected value here of this option. So let me pull up a different color so we can see how that works. So 20% of 15,000 is 3,000. So we have 3,000 here. We have 20% of 10,000 is 2,000. This is a negative, by the way, so this is negative 3,000. We have 20% of 25,000, which is 5,000. And then we have 20% of 60,000, which is 1,200. 12,000. And then we have 20% of 140,000, which is going to be 28,000. And so what we're doing here is we're going to add all of these up. So we have a negative 3,000 plus 2,000, which now we're at negative 1,000, plus 5,000. So we're at 4,000. Now we're at 16,000, and 16,000 plus 28,000 equals, what is it? That's 44,000. Right? So, and over here, we know that the expected value here is just 29,000. That's all this is, 29,000 up here. So our total expected value of suing is 44,000. And our expected value over here, accounting for, there's no uncertainty here, is 29,000. So what do? Some of you might say, well, just go with the EV. You know, we're expecting to make out of here 44,000, accounting for all these probabilities. You're going to do better here, right? So go ahead and sue. And there'll be others of you that says, well, I don't know about that. There's still this 20% chance right here that you are going to lose the court case and you'll be out $15,000. Whereas you could just take the sure bet. You could just take the $29,000. And so what you do here is going to depend on who you are. So the question here is, who are you? And this is going to look very similar to some of the tables that we ran through before, which are your risk tolerance tables. So let's take a look at this in a different way. Remember, we had our 1 to 10 over here, and on this axis, we'll just plot out, we could be out, $15,000. We could be up $29,000. We could be up $60,000. We could be up here, I think, let's just say $140,000. And just for the sake of this example, we could just put up $500,000. And so this is the desirability of each of these options. And let's just say that you were in college here, and regardless, I'm going to assume that most of us would consider this value here at negative $15,000. That's terrible. None of us are going to like that very much. If we're able to settle here for $29,000, I'm just guessing average college students, you say, well, actually, that's pretty good. That's a lot that will cover all my medical expenses. I'll be doing pretty well. 60,000, okay, yeah, that's even better. 140,000, that is ridiculous. Very good. And 500,000, yes, just as ridiculous. That's a lot of money. I could go overseas for a while, start my own car accident foundation, whatever you want to do here. So this is what your curve might look like. Something like that. So your expected value here, if you're settling right here at $29,000, that's pretty good. Now let's take a look again at a different curve. So again, who is this person right here? This person does not really care, again, doesn't care about any court case or suing unless there's a giant payoff. So this person there's no way that they're going to be settling at $29,000 because there's still a 20% chance that they could make the big score, and that's all they really care about. so you have to figure out where you would lie on this curve to answer this question up here, is if you are going to be suing or not. So your response there is going to determine the answer. That's a very quick example of what this expected value looks like. Now let's take a look at a different example. All right, so this is one in which you have to figure out, are you going to have an event that where are you best going to have an event for yourself? And you've done some calculations already. You've done your 1 to 10 tables, and the top two responses popped out where it was, I'm going to have this event. There's a V there. I'm going to have an event up on a mountain here. I'm going to have a mountain event. Or I can do this hotel event. And important values for you here are people in the company, they need to have fun. It needs to be memorable, right? And cost is important too. So we have those things to keep in mind. And I've done a little bit of preparation here so you can see what some of these start to look like. Sorry, let's thought this was going to work. It's a different table altogether. Just a minute. Let's get that other. All right, I'm gonna start up another video file right here with the continuation of this. All right, so this whole thing, part 1. Look for part 2.